Alright, it's everybody's favorite time, word problem time. Hooray! So today we're going to work on word problems that involve more than one expression, meaning we don't have more than one variable, but we've got kind of more than one, I guess, factor you would call it. So like examples, these would be problems like you've got two people riding a bike, and you're trying to figure out maybe the combined distance they went, but one's going one speed, another person's going another speed. You've got, any kind of race or something like that between two people. Really, I guess anything with two people doing the same thing, but either starting at different times or going at different speeds, that's going to involve the same type of problem, but it's going to involve more than one expression, okay? So I kind of outlined a typical process for you. And your typical process is to first define a variable. Okay, you always have to say what your variable is because that can be especially important if people are starting at different times, which is what our example is going to look like. Then we have to find the first expression in terms of a variable, find a second expression in terms of the variable, combine them together, and figure stuff out. Okay, so I mean those last couple steps. The next two are the real important ones. You have to figure out the two expressions separately and then decide when and if you need to put them together and how that works when you put them together. So, I've got a problem. I start peeling potatoes and I peel them at a rate of 2 per minute. I'm not really super fast, but that's not too bad. My wife starts 3 minutes later than I do, okay? But she does that at a rate of 4 per minute. Okay, so this is where you're getting your two expressions from. You're going to have my expression, and you're going to have my wife's expression. Okay, so the first thing we need to define is a variable. Easiest thing to define here is we're just going to say it's x, and we're going to say it's time. We obviously need it to be time, okay, because the number of potatoes that are peeled is dependent on the amount of time that we've been peeling. But we need to be more specific than that because we start at different times. So this is going to be the time that I started peeling. Okay, that's going to be really important. Okay, so if I want to write an expression for the number of potatoes that I've peeled, the simple rate times time will give me the number of potatoes that I've peeled. So my rate is 2 per minute times the amount of time, which is x. Rate times time will give you amount. It's a cool thing to remember. Now, the number of potatoes that Mrs. Strains has peeled, her rate is 4. Now, her time is not x. Think for a second. What would her time be? I don't want to put another variable here. I don't want to put y, okay, because now I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot with it. I want one variable. So what would Mrs. Strains' time be in terms of x? Think about that. Hopefully what you came up with is that since she started 3 minutes later, it's going to be x minus 3. And I need to put that in parentheses because that's what my time is. Otherwise, what I'm saying is do 4 times my time and then subtract 3 from the potatoes. I don't want to do that. I need to be subtracting 3 from the time. Okay, so now the number of potatoes that I've peeled combined, well, if this is my potatoes and this is hers, adding them together, we'll get the total potatoes. All right, I'm hoping that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so then the next question asks, if they've been peeling for 10 minutes, how many potatoes did they peel together? Okay, well, I've got this expression, and you gave me an amount of time. You've been given an amount of time. X represents time. Now, here's what you have to kind of interpret. You have to interpret they. This is probably my fault. I should have been more specific, and hopefully any problem that you're given in your textbook will be more specific. Let's say if I had been peeling for 10 minutes, okay, then how many potatoes did we peel together? So we're going to say that x is equal to 10. Now, there's other problems you could be given, but that's what you're given in this case. So we're going to plug in 10. And I get 20 plus 28 for 48 total potatoes. Now, if you, well, what if you had been asked a question like if they had been peeling for 10 minutes together? Well, that would have meant that X was 13 because she started 3 minutes later. If they peeled a total of 33 potatoes, all right, how long did that take and how many did each of them peel? So first thing we got to do is we need to set our total potatoes equal to 33. Now we need to solve this for x, so distribute your 4x minus 12. Then we get 6x minus 12 equals 33. We're going to add that 12 to both sides, so you get 6x equals 45. Divide by 6. And now we're going to get a fraction amount of time here. That's not really a huge deal. Oops, sorry about that, guys. And while that's not really a huge deal, we're going to have to deal with it, okay? So you can write that as a fraction or you can write that as a decimal. But be that as it may, 6 times 4 would be 24, so 6 times 8 would be 48. We're not quite up to 8, so this is 7.5 as it turns out, 42 and then another 3. So it took 7.5 minutes, because that's I started earlier, so that is how long it took. To figure out how many each of them peeled, well, that's easy. Take 2 times 7.5 for me. I'm putting this over on the left-hand side. It's 15. And then take 4 times 7.5 minus 3. Or 4 times 4.5, which is 18. Okay? So 15 for me, 18 for my wife. She peeled more even though she started later. Now, here's a really big important question that you often have to ask when you are combining expressions like this. B, part 3, the number that we have combined, that expression, it did help us find the answer for C, and it did help us find the answer for D. Okay? But there's a problem with that expression. That's something I want you to think about. What is the problem with that expression, and why do we have to be careful how that expression gets used? That's something for you to think about on your own. That's it for this one.